saw that in 2004. And I know that's their plan, you know, the plan's the plan. But they're stubbing out water mains on 60th, right there, you know, with the Acreage Lever, and it is the Acreage Lever Road, it is not State Road 7. It never was State Road 7. The range line was State Road 7. So I hope everybody keeps that in mind when they keep saying this, because the range line was where the road should have went, because that's where the FPL poles are. They already got 2 lanes there. So the argument with West Palm is a good one. Well, what about the range line? But the stubbing out on these water lines, and I don't think, even for us to get something on a legislative matter, you know, up in Tallahassee, it has to be 60%. So I'm hoping it is, because when I was reading the backup, I don't think it was 90%, but, you know, it's okay. It might have changed, because we didn't get the backup until, you know, the agenda didn't come out till this afternoon. God bless us all. You know, it should be a little bit more timely. It's okay. But the 60th and the stubbing and the way these pipes are run is not correct. And the percentages are not correct either, especially when the cost to some of the people that are nowhere near these pipes that were run illegally with Mecca to begin with started. So take that into consideration. And I have a card on 10.4 because I had a question on it.
Oh, I got it first.
Right?
That's been pulled.
Still there?
It's been pulled.
Thank you.
No.
It
all got approved. 10.1, 10.2, 10.4, and 10.5. It's a consent agenda. Oh, I got the wrong agenda.
Well, I have the question that I had originally.
It's a consent agenda, and I got approved.
I'm telling you, I'm asked about Ron Bergeron, and I'm asking about who the lobbyists were hired for. What were they hired for? That's all. And it should be answered.
All right, thank you. You should sit down. All right, next.
And
Ralph?
Sorry?
before you start the clock, I have some handouts that I wanted to pass on to everybody.
So we got a motion to receive and file.
So a motion to receive and file?
Second. Yes.
Do you have a second?
What I have is a
favor?
picture from Papa that I'm handing out that shows the actual street, 77th Place North, and you can match up the last 4 digits of the people that voted with your backup that is on your that came with the package. The two largest lots that are on 140th apparently, according to that backup, did not vote for the water. And there was, according to the backup, it said there were 13 properties, although there's only 12 listed here, so I'm not sure which one of the other 13 is. I forgot to bring the entire package with me. But there were 7 that voted, that signed the petition, which would be 6 that didn't. Okay, and one of those 7 is a vacant lot owned by somebody in New Jersey who sent his petition back and said he wants it. So the swing vote to force the other 6 people to pay for this on their taxes is somebody doesn't even live here, that just bought it for an investment. Perhaps they think that the water line will help them sell their property because maybe they want to dump it. Who knows?
Probably.
The second handout I've given you is the fact that this was a handout that I found on the Palm Beach County website, and it explains to the Acreage residents about how you can get water, and there's a frequently asked question, and on page 2 it says, under number 3, it says, according to the agreement between Indian Trail and Palm Beach County regarding public water service, Indian Trail will determine the kind of assessment program most acceptable to providing water to residents within ITID's area. Okay, what I'd like to say to you is that to make people to pay for a service that they're not planning to hook up to it's like a tax. And it's not fair to the people that voted no on this to pay this. And I really would like you to go back to water utilities to see if you could come up with some better plan. Perhaps they can hold the cost of the money for the people that don't want to hook up until they're ready to hook up. Because I don't think it's fair to have people on a street, neighbors against neighbors, pitted against each other, because half the neighbors plus 1 want something that the other ones don't want to pay for. I have a couple of agenda items that from past meetings at the county where they are approving water hookups for, this one was on Hamlin Boulevard, and the actual extra amount to be billed to the people that voted no, whether they got the hookup or not, was annual cost per year, $830. That is a huge amount extra on your taxes, huge. And I just don't think it's right. And I think if we were to vote in this whole community and say, yes, we're going to provide water for everyone, and if we could even afford it, because according to this handout, it also said, this was dated 2009, and they said it was nearly $300 million then. Can you imagine what it would be now? I just can't even imagine. But if you were to vote, and then it was all paid for by the county or something, and then everybody got the taxes all at one time, that would be a taxation that everybody shared in. But because everybody doesn't live by the roads, I don't believe this is even legal to do this. And the only reason it's not being challenged is because nobody's filed a lawsuit. And I'll tell you what, if they try to do it to my street, I'm going to sue. Because I'm not going to pay there's no need, there's no public health and safety need. We're like, if by doing this, we're like saying that our well water is not good. I like my well water, and I have good water equipment, and it wasn't that expensive, and I don't have to pay a monthly fee, and I don't want to pay for something that I don't want to use, just so that water utilities can put pipes and get more customers. If it was cable TV, you'd never be able to force me to pay for all the lines being put out there so that somebody else could hook up. They're a utility just like a cable company is. And I think we should have a better deal. Our deal apparently is we only get 10% off the cost of the entire project. That's our benefit from giving away all of our water rights here. And the county could probably hold the cost and put it to somebody when they decided they wanted to connect. Or if there ever became a health emergency where we had to all connect, then somebody would have to find the money somewhere. But I just don't think it's fair to do this to people. And if you look at the map, there's a whole bunch of streets out there that could be like this. And I really want you to look at this. And maybe the water utilities gentleman could
Thank you, Ann.
address.
Michelle. First of all, an empty lot pays the exact same taxes, assessment actually, non-ad valorem, to Indian Trail as the house that's next door. So if you got a 3,000 square foot house or a 6,000 square foot house or a vacant land, you all pay the exact same assessment to Indian Trail Improvement District. So that person has a right to vote. Think about all the street-by-street thing is because there is not a master plan at this time because it will cost well over $300 million, and I don't think this community is ready for something like that yet. But it's not unusual to communities in and across America. When I first moved to the acreage, people west side of Seminole Pratt didn't have cable, but I did. So when it gets out there little by little, people have access to it. I had land out in the prairie a long time ago. Closest person to an electric pole got electric. The furthest pole away had to pay more money to get it to them. So this is not something unusual to go street by street. It's just an opportunity for those who live along the or near the existing water lines to tap into water. If they don't live like me, I'm 3 streets away. As soon as my neighbors decide to do it, I'm jumping on it. But until then, I'm not paying for the other 2 streets. So this is not something unusual, this is not something that's out of standard, but the vacant lot pays the exact same assessment to Indian Trail Improvement District as the house next door.
That's not my point.
Okay. It's my point.
All right, thank you. Is that all the comment cards?
Just wanted to make a point about the count. I think the lady mentioned that there's 13 properties instead of 10. There's the 2 properties in question are corner properties, and those properties have access to water. And you can't legally assess a property owner who has access to water. And that's why the count is as it is with regards to this other 2 properties. With regards to 90% of the people dictating what the 10% want, the flip side of that is you don't want to have 10% of the people dictating what 90% of the people want.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion
Thank
to
you.
approve.
Second.
Done the card.
What was his name? What was his name?
You filled out a card.
Okay.
Motion to approve special permit water utility service of 77th Place Northeast of 140th Avenue.
Do you have a second?
I second it.
Holiday was second.
Oh, yeah, all in favor, I'm sorry.
Ralph.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, I'm sorry.
It's 4-0, Jennifer.
Jennifer, you're again?
Yeah.
Okay,
4-1.
sorry.
That's what we're doing.
It was,
Motion to Ralph, second, right, 4-1, and Jennifer opposing.
Okay, we're going down to 11.1, district manager's performance.
We already did, 10-5?
Yeah, that was, we, in the original motion, 10.1 to 10.5, we pulled.
We pulled those.
Oh, okay.
I'll put a motion to approve the evaluation process.
Is that what we're approving, the process?
Do I have a second?
Wait.
Can we talk about it before?
If I may, Madam Chair, it might be appropriate for me to give a little background
Yeah,
on the
that would-
performance process and then report to my summary.
All right, go ahead.
It's a pleasure, thank you. As you all know, Mr. Shulman's employment agreement provides in Section 7 that the board will endeavor to evaluate his performance annually on or before the March board meeting. If, in that contract, if his performance is deemed to be at least satisfactory based on an average score of the submitted evaluations, the board may consider an increase in base salary or other benefits in your discretion, subject to budget. Additionally, for this year only, in the contract, it provides that during the 2015 evaluation, if he receives at least a score of 4.0, which exceeds expectations, based on an average score of all the submitted evaluations, then the board shall increase his salary by $3,000. Now, based on the evaluation submitted tonight, and as I've done in the past, reporting the final evaluation score is a 3.18, which is satisfactory. So it certainly would be appropriate at this time for the board to make a motion to receive and file those original evaluations, as well as the summary form to be placed in Mr. Shulman's file.
I'll motion to receive and file.
Do I have a second? Do I have a second?
You're going to motion to receive his evaluations, right? We all submitted them?
Yes, I have
So
all
we're just
five.
receiving, correct?
And filing it as
Okay.
personnel file.
No, it failed.
Okay, we'll have to
Where's
wait.
everybody else?
Let me, through the chair,
break.
through the chair, through the chair, real quick. If you're going to fill out an evaluation, whether it's bad, good, or in the middle, indifferent, you still have to receive it in order to receive the evaluation, even if it's not a good one.
Right.
So why would we motion to receive and file? That doesn't make sense to me.
Why wouldn't we?
We don't have a second. I don't understand. Even, like, to me, no matter how you look at it, you've put your thoughts
Well,
in that
we'll call
evaluation.
again, one of the board members just came back in the room.
It's just a motion to
Jennifer.
receive and file evaluations.
Do we have a second on that? Okay, you second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Okay, 3, 2. Well, Gary's out of the room.
So how did you vote? Are you for?
I'm for.
It's 3-1 with Gary out of the room.
3-1.
And Gary's out of the room.
Fair, no. Dunkley away.
And then what do we do from here?
At the board's discretion, if you chose to, because he reached the satisfactory level, if the board chose to make a motion regarding an increase in salary or benefits, you could do so, but it's not required.
Through the chairman?
Yes.
I know that in his contract, there was some provisions that he could have done on his own to receive some additional compensation. One was if he completed the management course, which I know he did not. The other one was if he received a score of 4 or higher, which he did not. So that is just an automatic, right. So then from there, if this board wants to give any compensation, it'd be based off the satisfactory score, correct?
And that's discretionary.
How do you know what the score is?
What's that
I just walked over to her and
Oh.
submitted.
She's already...
And I did report, and you may not have heard it, Ms. Jacobs, the final summary score based on all 5 submitted evaluations was a 3.18.
And I specifically asked for those provisions in the contract. I personally will discuss my evaluation with Mr. Shulman one-on-one personally. However, the actions of the board based on that score, that's what just they need to decide. So, I know it's a sensitive topic, but it's hard to do it in public.
I believe most board members have either had an opportunity or when they have a voice again, they will have an opportunity to speak with Mr. Shulman.
I did speak to Mr. Shulman. Through the chair. I spoke to Mr. Shulman. We had a beautiful morning. We went around to the different projects, and I'm very pleased for the way that Jim came into this position with only accounting experience. He's gotten on-the-job training. He has more to go, but he's going in the right direction. That's all I have to say.
You came in with the good stuff.
Oh, what, there was bad
No,
stuff?
not
I missed
really.
that?
I'm actually, it's a little,
Oh.
I'm appreciating the positive attitude over here. No.
That's all I have to say.
Anybody else?
What was, I missed something. I was too
That's my
busy.
whole point, because you came in on.
I was greeting those people out there and telling them not to be a stranger. Don't let a water deal just bring you here. Come on back.
Through the chair.
Go ahead, Michelle.
What you missed is in the contract states that if he scored a 4 or higher, he automatically receives compensation. In the contract, it states that if he completes the management report, he is the compensation. So now what's left, the decision made by the board, is if he receives a satisfactory score, which he did with 3.1, correct? Then the board can decide if they want to give him additional compensation. And then you walked in, so that's kind of where we're at.
And that classroom term remains in effect for the other 2 years of the contract, is that correct?
Yes, that provision of the contract with respect to the management course is, once that course is completed, then the compensation would be granted. With submission of a grade report and all those things that...
Right.
Well, I'd like to add,
I would love to see copies.
no one's going to speak? No one wants to speak? You want to, can you try? No? I agree with Gary. Jim, I think, stepped up to the plate when we basically lost all our staff and everybody quit. And he's had a lot of on-the-job training, and he's been without office help, but I keep telling him you have to hire someone to help you, can't do everything. He's with HR for quite a while, and he only had basically 1 year. And I think the district's been moving along quite well. I think there's still improvement, always room for improvement, but this is a hard district, this is a hard board, this is a hard audience. I think he's done quite well, and I'm happy you're on board, and I'm glad we didn't scare you away yet. Anybody else? So what do you want to do? Do we want to, we're just, Michelle, quit looking at pictures. Are we just...
So beautiful.
I know, but we need, this is kind of important right now. And
I put some stuff out.
everybody's staring, and poor Jim's on the spot here. What do we want to do with, he scored enough to get a raise if we decide to give him one?
Purely discretionary, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what do you feel about his performance, considering what he's came into?
What type of raise? What amount?
Under the contract, it's just a discretionary option for the board if Mr. Shulman were to have scored at least a satisfactory, which he did. So there's no amount set, there's no indication. It's the board's pleasure if the board chooses to do anything.
Jim, I like you, but
No problem.
no more raise. Until you finish, they threw in about the $3,000 for the course, but other than that, no raise.
Let me add to the course, the courses that he had to take. Put yourself in his shoes. He came here, we had the Minto issue. That was major, and it's still there. There's been a lot of issues on the table that he's come into. Where do you find the time? He was short on staff, like I said, without a HR, so he had to help with that position, without a secretary. I mean, there's been a lot of a lot of action going on, so we gotta put ourselves in his shoes a little bit. You know what I mean?
If we go against everything that we write all the time and change our minds all the time, it says satisfactory, automatic raise.
It says discretionary, under 4.0.
Certified district manager courses.
Yeah, it's supposed to be getting them.
The 4 or higher.
They only do it once a year.
Just had a raise 1 year ago. I love you, Jim. Where's my raise?
I don't agree.
Okay.
You can be mad at me for a little while.
Those two, no raise, no raise?
No raise.
No raise?
All right.
Okay.
Through the chair, though.
No problem.
Through the chair.
Mhm.
I'll come and either meet with you tomorrow or the next day when you have time. I have a sunshine law course that he completed, he gave me the certificate, so I'm pleased with that. I will say on the record that I think Jim's personality and your characteristics are, the right ones to communicate with the community. And, you have the ability to be a superstar if you choose to be. But I'm actually right along the lines of what Jennifer just said, and I agree with her. So next year, when we get to this
Damn,
part...
what date is
I
this?
know, just write it down. When, in a year from now, it is my hope that we can give you the management course raise, the 4.0 raise. I mean, it's just, that's what my hope is. And, I hope to, if the board's not giving you the tools to be successful, you let us know too, then we need to make some adjustments. If, we need to stay out of the office on Friday so that you can do some of this stuff, then we'll stay out of the office on Friday so that you have time to do it. But, we should also help you be successful.
Thank you.
Through the chair.
Yeah.
And I'm not picking on Jim, because I really like you, Jim. But liking has nothing to do with it. I've arrested a lot of people I
Oh,
like.
God.
But, and I pointed this out, and I'm doing it in public. You do have a lot to, not a lot, you do have to fit in, but I would like you getting out of the office more, like how we took that drive today. And we went to the job sites. You don't have to get out the car. We went to the job sites, they saw your face, you saw exactly what the problem is. More hands-on is what, we stopped at the nursery, you dealt with one of our constituents. This is what, a little more of, and you have me there.
I want to correct that.
Good chair.
Because being board president and I'm down here a lot, Jim is out of the office quite a bit. He rides with one of the other supervisors, or Juan can verify that, Tim, that he's out quite a bit. And he's out quite a bit when I call him on the phone saying, did you see this? And he's there when there's car accidents. He's there a lot out of the office, more than I've ever seen any other manager come out of the office.
Well, that was my opinion.
Because I'm, around him a little more, I guess.
Yeah, you probably are around him more, but...
But he does, he's out quite a bit. Okay, go ahead.
Jim, my comments had nothing to do with whether I like you or not. I do like you, okay?
Thanks, Ron.
And it's based on my assessment of your performance. Getting out talking to the guys in the field, doing things like that is what needs to be done, because there's some problems out there and you know it, and they need to be fixed. You're going to have to manage those things all the way through. I'm glad you've got HR help. I am disgusted that we spent 5 months trying to get this building mitigated. Some companies can do it, in weeks without having to be months. But, when the mold and all that stuff
It
came...
didn't take 5 months, we chose the date
Well,
that we...
I know, but it seemed like we were in and out of the building,
Well,
and it was down for a while. But anyways, you read it in my comments. So, I want you to know that has nothing to do with whether I like you or not. I like you.
No problem. Thank you, Ralph, I appreciate it.
Okay, so, that's it.
Okay, everybody done? All right. Okay, moving on to Line Country Safari, the outfall easement.
Oh, I got questions there. I'll second for discussion.
Well, that's really a discussion point that,
All right, we have a motion to approve for discussion.
I'll second.
I beat you all.
Okay. Works for me.
I think you guys like me scribbling all over the place.
Oh, where is this thing at? Oh, I don't have a page. Oh, there it is.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a little bit of boring background engineering, Carol.
Engineering 101.
We're talking the M2 basin, which is Southern Boulevard here, and Sycamore's up top, right around the M2 canal. We actually have 12 basins in the M2 basin. It's a misnomer. We're talking about 2 of those basins. Lion Country Safari, square mile roughly, sits to the west or south of us, according to where you're at. There is a canal that they own that goes through Indian Trail's M2 basin. On either side of it, on the west side of the M2 canal, there are 2 small basins, 22 and 28 acres, that according to the original design plans by Stopper Stagg, it looks like the intent was to have them both drain into the Lion Country Canal. Our big basin up here, about 4,200 acres, is currently receiving the 22 acres that looks like it should go to Lion Country. Juan found that there's problems in this area because it's having to drain all the way up through to the canal and over to the impoundment in order to then drain back into the M2 canal. It's a ridiculously long path. There is an existing structure from the south going in. There was something going in from the north, but it has been covered up. We can find no permits, we can find no plans that show the structure from the north. Therefore, to improve the drainage in that small section, we asked Lion Country Safari if they would enter into an agreement with us to allow us to put a structure in from the north side. Well, once you ask for something, you might get something asked back. They have said, okay, that's our canal, you're coming in from the south side, oh, that pipe is not in your easement for 168. It's out a little bit. We had to do a survey to determine that. So you need to move your pipe over to get it into your easement. So it's not on our land, it's in your easement, but on our land. They said, oh, what about maintenance? Well, you need to maintain the east end of the canal. So we started writing up this agreement, Frank Hagan behind it, to get all the conditions to allow us to add this new structure into the Lion Country Safari Canal, which was always intended. So, with this, there comes the general things that you think of when you enter into an agreement, or a possible complete alternate. I had several questions for you, and before I get through the questions, I want to talk at the end of these questions about the alternate to the questions. The south culvert, it's been there. It's, quote, grandfathered. Why should we move it? My normal reaction to somebody telling me to remove something that's been there is no. I mean, it's there. We have a right to use it because it's like a prescriptive right. It's been there by use. However, since the canals are down, we were able to see the culvert, and the culvert is destroyed. It needs to be replaced. And since we're going to have to replace it anyway, I don't think it's worth arguing the point. We ought to move it. My recommendation to you would be to agree to move it.
Sounds logical, so, I'm sorry, the Chair. I didn't mean to interrupt that, but that sounds logical. I mean, what's the point? It's maintenance, right?
We would have to maintain it anyway, but...
Well, we have to replace it, so we have to maintain it anyways.
Right.
Okay, all right, thank you.
The second question would be, do we agree to maintain the east, what we have in the agreement is 100 feet of their canal? Well, we'll be dumping into it. We have some responsibility to do something. The third question is, do you agree? What we've said is there's a share that we should pay for a share of the maintenance of that canal because we're using it, we have our water going into it. My suggestion on that is, yes, that's fair, let's go by percentage drainage. And you have about 7% of the area. So that would be a way to go, or you could say, no, we're not gonna pay for any of that. Line Country Safari staff believes we own the culvert under 168. That is not correct. That is their culvert. And however, they think that if it failed, we would have to replace it and fix 168. That is simply not true. So I'm not ready to argue the point, guys. The last point is they own 2.61 acres. Right through the center of this, what's called Note 7. Would the board consider us talking to Line Country Safari and seeing if we could negotiate that would become ours? We would maintain it, we would assess them for that maintenance, and we'd get rid of all this back and forth between agencies. So the standard way to go about this process is we get an agreement with all those things I talked about, and we get some type of complicated maintenance agreement and sharing. They already, by the way, pay $1,100 or something around $1,100 to us in assessments for that
1139.
Okay. 2.61 acres. So an alternate to the standard process, and this legal agreement is getting a little bit complicated, is to see if they would consider a new agreement where we just take over that whole canal. We just need some guidance as to whether the board feels this is more of a policy type issue. If you want to go the standard way, we have to finish the agreement and look at all the who pays for what.
Through the chair,
Yes.
what do you recommend?
The discussion.
I like the idea of us, I always like having control. I would like the authorization to talk to them to see if they would consider that. If not, then we by default have to go the other way. But I like to be in control of facilities. If that pipe under 168 fails, we have to depend on them to fix it.
I make the motion that we,
Can I say something first? The only thing is, though, what we're talking about here, and I've run into this in other water management districts, this is their outfall structure, correct? So you would, if we took ownership of it, we would have to give them a permit or an easement to continue to operate using that outfall structure, because they're not going to want to just give it away.
Yes, their outfall structure is on the east side, on the west side, and we could give them a permit to discharge into that canal. If they were agreeable to us taking the canal, then the whole canal would be ours, but you're right, they would have to have a permit.
Yeah, the only thing is, I think the way permits are, they're revocable as, a right. If they aren't permanent. I can't imagine them going along with that on a permit-only basis. I would think they would be asking for an easement, so they have some profit.
They should have a legal positive outfall
Yeah.
easement, that's perfect, I
Yeah.
agree.
And I think it would probably impact their permits from the South Florida Water Management District.
As long as they don't change their outfall.
Exactly.
I don't think that affects them.
But it could change their outfall.
If it changed it, then they have to get a modification from South Florida.
yeah.
It's just illegal. It's just as to how you word legally.
Can I make a motion?
Please do.
But we're not asking for a motion. No, he's gonna give direction.
I'm gonna give direction, okay.
still have some questions.
Direction
But
motion, okay.
he's gotta put something on the board.
Okay, I recommend
We already had
that
a
we go the direction that Jay recommends, but I put, addendum, I would like Ruth to be part of this discussion.
Certainly.
And I'll second that.
That
No,
way that
discussion.
both of you can, together.
Along with Mr. Taylor.
Okay, and
He was working on it.
along with Mr. Palin, can I have,
Second it.
okay.
We're good.
Okay, all in favor of that?
Well, Ralph,
Ralph got a question?
Yeah, you said that we have 7% of the outfall?
Lion Country Safari is about 640 acres, and we have about 48 acres. So that's about 7% of the area.
Okay, so,
I based it on area.
okay, so the 7.32% is ours. Everything else is theirs. How does that affect our taking water from them? I mean, is that,
Now, that would be for the cost sharing only, that wouldn't be,
Okay, so-
if we go the standard route, that's a fee that we would have to negotiate.
so we're responsible for digging, if we take this the way it's going right now, we would take over the maintenance, do all the digging and the correcting of outfall canal, or outfall pipe and everything else. How does that benefit us just for the 7%?
We'll have to work that out, but my thought on that was we would still collect a fee from Lion Country Safari, but it would be prorated on how much we expect the maintenance of that canal and the pipe to be. Right now, they're paying $1,100 per year, and you don't need to replace that pipe very often.
Yeah, well, I understand once you replace it, it's good for 20, 25 years or something like that, yeah.
And the canal has to be maintained periodically.
Yeah, well, we're having trouble maintaining the ones we've got, that's what I'm trying to...
Yes.
You know, we'll have to clean it out immediately and then put in the structure when this goes into effect. Or as immediate as it can be.
Their
Yeah.
structure exists, we want to add one.
Their structure exists, but we want to add one.
Their structure from their canal into the M2 canal exists.
That's the one under 168.
168.
Okay.
The one from us to them on the south side exists. The one from us on the north side does not exist.
Right, but you're going to put the one in the north in this agreement?
That's what we asked for, yes.
But you don't, yeah, I see it says outfall under 168 terrace to north. What's that?
The connection into the canal on the south side, the one on the north that's not functional needs to be established on this end of the, we're only talking about this end of this
Right.
parcel that goes along. We're not talking about the other side.
Okay, we're going to have to maintain that entire canal if we take this on.
If we take it on, we would have the full canal
Okay.
under the...
This is not one of those structures we replaced
No.
4 years ago or something like that, wasn't it?
No.
That's not the weir, okay.
No.
Well, that other weir looks bad too, but anyways. Okay, I think I've got it straight now. Okay, I'm done.
All right, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 5-0.
I don't know why, but I said aye.
In favor. All right, where we at? Down to reports, attorney's report?
Yes, good evening. We've included the work that we've been involved with in the backup, and you do have it in your packet. One item that I want to bring up and just bring to the board's attention is dealing with the Unit 18. We're talking about possibly refunding those bonds. I did receive a letter from Raymond James as to a proposed refinancing of the Unit number 18 bonds. They were issued in 2005. The refinancing would not be a publicly offered bond issuance, it would be a loan, and there would be cheaper costs involved. The refinancing will not exceed the maturity of the bond, so it would not extend out. It would still remain final payment in 2031. So the interest rates are projected to decline in the near term, but at the current market conditions, the bank estimates the interest rate of 3.25%. This would translate to an annual debt service reduction of approximately $42,000. Post-financing debt service would be about 93% of the current debt service. So each taxpayer's assessment for debt would be reduced by a like percentage. So what we're asking, we're not going to ask the board to take any action about anything, but we'll bring it back to the board at the next meeting in April. And possibility of we're having a workshop meeting, I believe, scheduled for the 22nd, and possibly if we could just advertise, if you all decide to go forward, we could possibly advertise that for a special meeting to keep this on program, on task, just if this is what the board wants us to bring back for the reduction in...
A special meeting before that workshop?
Yes, just for that limited
Okay.
item, if that's okay.
Through the chair.
Hold it.
Ralph was first.
Okay.
Excuse me a second. this reduction, how long is this a good number? This 3.1% or whatever
Well,
it
that's
is?
why the interest rates are variable, and so that's why we wanted to do it as soon as possible.
Well, that's why I'm saying,
I mean, if the board wanted
what
to
is really
authorize
the
it...
point of having a workshop on it? I mean, it's,
Well, no, it wouldn't be a workshop. Let me just clarify. If we could, if the board so chooses, I mean, we could certainly get the board to authorize tonight that team to come back and come back with a proposal.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Tonight, to bring the proposal back, I don't
Okay.
know.
absolutely,
And
yeah.
for the
it was a
April
workshop.
board meeting. Okay.
Yes, I did.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Five oh.
Unanimous, thank you. And that will conclude my report unless you all have any questions.
Well, I have a question.
Yes.
Are you still pursuing those small little accounts that we were trying to collect?
I have not been involved with any of the collection.
Actually, Vila is the only account that really is.
What do we do with
Oh,
that?
I just want, if we were still
There's,
collecting them, unless there's substantial money, just leave it, just let it go.
okay, I'll bring that up
Because,
in April then.
yeah.
But there are county invoices that we're discussing for road projects that were either canceled or, I mean, we're sitting right at about 49,000, 50,000 with Palm Beach County.
That's for Vila?
No, nothing to do with Vila.
Okay, well, I was just asking about those little accounts we were trying to run through collection.
Right,
yeah.
Vila was the only one of those.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
Sorry, Mary, I thought that was your problem.
Engineer report?
Yes, the engineer's report's in the packet. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. I'll just add just one item for emphasis, that the Fishing and Wildlife Commission have started their own study on the Corbett area, which includes moss. So they are trying to determine what they want over there. And I have been meeting with them and supplying them information from the district, so we're in constant contact, and we're forming a very good relationship with the Corbett people now.
That's
To
a
the
good
chair.
thing. Excuse me.
Okay, go ahead.
Jay had told me about a meeting that was, what's the name of that place we met at?
It was at the Administrative Office of Fish and Wildlife, right off in North Lake.
And a part of their presentation, they kept on saying they had to do the study, but more and more I hear that the willingness was, they were willing, but he kept on using the excuse, I have to wait till the study results come back. But he was very positive in terms of that direction. Another thing I want to bring up is, you guys wanted me to go to Tallahassee on the 18th. Jim, you had brought up about the 18th of me going back to Tallahassee?
Just the legislative forum, the governor's lunch.
That's for Florida Association of Special Districts.
Okay, if I go up on the 18th, this workshop that you want to do on the 21st.
No, this is March 18th that he's talking about.
Next week, right?
It's next week.
Next week, I have to go up?
You don't have to.
No, okay,
It's part of FASB, right?
I'll go,
Yeah.
well, make the arrangements, I will go up.
Okay, I think they're made.
Because I think the more we hit Tallahassee, the more we get known. I have to confess on record, I kind of made use of what I know, which is photography. And with the camera,
You get good access to places.
Capture people's attention.
No. With the camera, I don't know, I'm getting old. I'm getting old.
You captured people's attention. It was a way to introduce yourself.
No, I don't. With the camera, Hager and I got all over the place.
You gain access anywhere you want to go.
Accessibility.
I can, what's wrong with you guys? I'm not mute, I can say it. But it was, in the short time I was there, in Tallahassee, I met over 15 senators and 20-something House of Reps. The camera I've won 4 national awards for my photography, so I'm using what I know to get into the door of people. So I don't mind going back to Tallahassee as long as it's not cold, even though I'm from New York.
Can't guarantee that.
Even though I'm
I
from
want
New
to see
York.
you shiver.
And I need some talking points and some direction from... What?
No, I was sorry to interrupt,
I need some, Jim, the board to get with Jim and give him my talk, because we can't meet in person.
Well, I'll tell you this, though, if you go through part of FASD, you will meet through the Association of Special Districts. Actually, Lewis and Longman will have talking points that affect all the special districts, so you'll get some of that. And then you should have the talking points should remain. You might just need to update them from when we just went last week, too. But you'll get 2 sets of talking points.
Are all of yours in that folder we gave you tonight?
Yeah, that's why I asked for the folder.
And also, our firm did prepare a legislative update, so that you should have received that for the current pending bills.
Okay, I need a copy of everything again, because I have 3 businesses, and I got a pile of papers like this, and since I only have 1 week to get everything together. All right?
Okay, finance, maintenance, and...
Okay, thanks, Madam Chair. You asked for an update on we had asked Palm Beach County to help us with paving 40th Street from 121st Terrace north to Coconut. Street. I still haven't heard back on that. Also have not heard back on 110th, but we are going proactive on 110th, and I'll let Juan explain. We've already started rocking on the north end. Do you want to tell me?
Sure.
Okay.
Basically, that's a half-mile project. We put down 4 inches of base. For paving, we would be doing 8 inches. The swale will not be finished until that time that we know whether we're going to have assistance, and we can put in the extra 4 inches and pave it. If we're going to not get the assistance and we don't want to pave it, the board doesn't want to approve paving, then the sidewalk pad created for the sidewalk and curb to continue from Sunset to 60th, the way Sunset is south, that would be grassed. And then the swale would be adjusted, okay, to pick up the water from the 4 inches instead of the pavement. So we have, so basically I will be at the point in 2 weeks where I need to know which way we're going, 2 to 3 weeks.
And I'll try and get us an update next week from the county.
Okay.
On how they feel about those 2 projects. Now, on the welcome signs, you wouldn't think it's so difficult to put up a welcome sign, but it is. Permitting issues, a couple of them. I think we're going to reverse course, or we've begun to reverse course. Palm Beach County, we're just about to get permitted on the one on 60th. The other 3 of the 5 signs, we're having an issue with residents giving us permission to go onto their easement, and so I think we're going to back away from that and possibly go just ask the county for, pick locations that we can just go through the county and ask them for.
Okay, was that all the questions I had?
You said something about Moss, Bergeron, and the
Okay,
pilot
let's
project,
go through
I think
that
we already
one. Yeah.
talked about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep, that was it. All right, well, thank you.
How about the...
And there's also, if you have any questions, all the reports are in your books.
Through the chair?
Yes.
What is the progress of the community gardens which we were supposed to start? Okay, the community gardens, let me make it out to the board very simple. All this thing about renting of space and renting of lots, that wasn't a part of my beginning plan.
That might not have been clear in the original policy that we presented.
Might not.
Okay. What it is a community-based where we are the acreage. Everyone has an acre and a quarter. What I want is a monthly or a workshop for the residents to come in.
You don't want to call it a workshop, because it has rules, but go ahead.
A class.
There you go.
Where the residents, we have a professor, where the residents can come in on a monthly basis, or whatever that's to learn about permaculture, learn about planting, learn about urban gardens that they could plant in their backyard, because our soil is so... I planted 100 trees, only 30 lived.
What'd you do wrong?
If that's what I need to find out.
So, just for the sake, so there's no more plots involved, correct?
There's only a piece of land on the side which was, on the side of the, Hamlin House.
Is it illuminated?
No, in that little part there.
Close, next to the house.
Next to the house.
Between the
So we can,
fence and the house.
classroom time is okay, but we need, even if we do a little vegetable garden, so we can have an idea of what we're doing.
But it's not plots,
No plots.
I'll have that written up and distributed to each of you well before the next meeting.
because I don't support the plots.
No plots. This is not gonna cost the, ITID any type of money, except for maybe a startup fee less than $1,000.
Let me help you out here, if you don't mind. If you don't form the committee, then you'll, believe me, there's no sunshine. It's truly a professor or whoever you deem to conduct a class, and each and every one of you just go in as Acres residents. And you learn about sunflowers or tomatoes or whatever it is that you want to learn.
The forming of the committee, it just came up with, okay, I didn't know that. Okay, what it is just to give our residents some type of direction on all the land we have, and some of us want to really plant gardens, and, you know, I look in New York, they got gardens on a roof, and...
I support that concept, except for if you don't mind, just bring a map back to the board for the location, because I'm not sure if I support it being up against the house, so we can find someplace.
Okay.
Okay? Is that good enough for you?
Yes, good enough for me.
All right. One?
Yes, on the same subject, I would like to let the board know, and any residents who are hearing, that Palm Beach Aggregate has a very good source of muck. I bought a load for the traffic calming island. It's a very good grade muck, and basically the price is $2 plus tax.
$2 what?
$2 per tax, $2 plus tax per ton. A truckload would be 22 tons.
But
You're
doesn't...
basically getting it for $44 to $46.
Black gold.
And it's like black gold from those ladies.
Excuse me, but, I'm sorry, through the chair, but when you put muck down, when it gets wet, doesn't it return to...
Not this grade of muck. This muck's been mixed with sand, so it's a perfect blend. Take a look at the planter out there on 140th and 87th.
Could you give me the numbers? I need about 100 loads.
Share this in your class.
My trees grow quite well.
No, well, that's what, that's...
Because they're giving, they're selling some crap out here that is like...
I will put a motion on the table for staff to go ahead and coordinate a garden club, I think probably,
Okay.
through ITID at the Hamlin House, but bring it back to the board on the location of this little miniature garden.
I'll get you information in a week or two that you can look at, and we'll bring it back next meeting.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Good enough? Okay, are they?
We're agreeing.
Did we get
So
through
we have to
everything?
tell them how many more.
Second.
Second,
Okay. Do we have a motion?
and third, and fourth, and fifth.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
No. On the garden club.
Motion on putting the garden club on the next agenda?
No,
The motion was have staff coordinate a garden club at Hamlin House and provide a sketch.
A sketch of where the location.
Okay, then Gary motioned and Michelle seconded.
Actually, I motioned.
No,
Gary seconded.
Michelle motion, I
Gary
second.
seconded.
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
All those in favor?
All in favor?
And I have a couple things.
So are you done with the
I forgot about
reports? If we can have a
supervision.
motion to approve all the reports.
I'll motion to receive all the reports.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I forgot about supervisor comments. Gary?
I had my comment,
Okay.
the garden club.
Michelle?
I have a couple things. For the record, when is the, because I know you told me this, I think when we were talking, when's the live feed gonna come on?
Don and I were discussing that today. If nothing goes wrong, we can have it up next month.
If something goes wrong, then it's May?
Then it would be 2 months.
All right, so the maximum is 2 months?
Yes.
May, okay. And then, I spoke with Commissioner McKinley earlier because we do have, and I've listened to you talk about some of those road projects and stuff, and we do have a lot of requests in. She said her number one priority for the acreage with her request, because she has to serve all of District 6. The number one priority for her is the additional deputies for the acreage. So that's where her budget's gonna go to that. The second one is, the sidewalk that we've been talking about, I think, for the last 8 years on Hamlin and 180th. In fact, I told her that I would help support it, but the MPO, I'd help her support it. The MPO, it's down on their list, I want to say number 30 is a priority to move it up. So I would like the board to write a letter to Commissioner McKinley and copy it to the chair and the ED of or the administrator of the MPO board in support, requesting that we support that to go up as a priority, because, and give us just some history, and the fact that it's children, and it's a park, it's their park, Samuel Freeland. So if we could do that, I'll motion.
Let me ask Tim, does MPO know that the easement on the north side of the road is ours, and it would be very difficult to put the sidewalk there, and that we'd actually...
This is just political. Let me be political, please. You guys can administrate. This is just a political component. Just write the letter to Commissioner McKinley and copy it to the MPO. We got all that. They know all that. We'll just do this part. And so those are her two priorities for the acreage, and then she said some of the other requests that we have out there, she'd look at that, but those are her her first and second. And then she also wanted to note it for the record that Palm Beach County is also opposing Senate Bill 1244 and House Bill 1175 with the agricultural enclave. And I participated in some meetings with her while I was in Tallahassee, and she is very at point that she believes that the developments around us should have home rule, meaning the locals should be approving it and not somebody else in Tallahassee that's not familiar with the area. So she wanted me to make it very clear that that's the position of her as well as the county.
All right, is that a motion for that letter?
I motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 4-0, Gary's out.
You still here?
I mean, I'm sorry, 4.
It is 4-0.
Yeah, 4-0. I thought you were going to leave, Gary's gone. Okay, and no comments by myself. Do you have any comments,
Jennifer, can you talk?
All right, good meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, starting with Jay.
Jay Foy.
Laura Donlin.
Ruth Clement.
Mary Viator.
Gary Dunkley.
Michelle's out of the room. Carol Jacobs.
Ralph Baer.
Jennifer Hager.
Jim Shulman.
Walla Florida. Tim Wojnar.
Don Renzel.
Okay, President's remarks. I just wanted, I don't know if all the board noticed the traffic calming on 140th. Did everybody get by to see that? How do you feel about it? Happy? No?
Well, I've only
No?
seen the parts, I've only seen the parts that are on the road itself. I haven't seen the trees that we were told
Yeah.
about.
They're in there.
They're in there now? Well, I haven't seen it
Bushes
since.
like,
since,
I was imagining something totally different.
Oh, you can't talk, huh?
Oh, I hope the meeting goes fast. I don't feel good.
Oh, okay, all right.
Our options are wide open.
So if everybody can take a look at it, residents including, it's 140th, right before North Lake. You like it, Gary?
I like it, but I was under the impression that it was a bigger bend. I did not know about the hump, which it was modified, so it's much better. But also at nighttime, it's dark out there. You need to put some reflectors, so at least cars can see that there's some type of island or something there. If they're not used to it, they'll go right over it.
I think we're going to do solar lighting, aren't we?
I'm getting prices on lamp pole,
For solar.
cellular cell, lamp pole, grade, highway grade, wide, 12 foot, in from the nose on both sides. It should light up the whole area.
Okay. But other than that, it's nice.
All right, and then I just wanted to mention movie night was beautiful. It was a great evening over at the Hamlin House, and Sandy Simon, who's now an employee of the district. She's over at the Hamlin House trying to get some business and get the house going, and she's doing a good job so far. Let's see, Tallahassee, it was great. Michelle Damone and I went up earlier for State Road 7 on Monday, which seemed very successful. The rest of the board came up later, and I think we hired a lobbyist, and I think everything's moving along quite well so far. And I just wanted, and Jim, I'm just going to bring these up so you can think about it when it's your turn to talk, in the manager's report. I want to update on Jay and Gary, a meeting with Ronnie Bergeron on the pilot program for Moss, and an update on the 40th paving over there by the tower, and, let's see, the 110th funding for that road.
Right.
Update on that for the whole board. And the Welcome to the Acreage signs, and that is it. Want to start with you, Jennifer? No? Michelle?
Yeah, just to expand a little more on that, in front of the Florida Transportation Commission on State Road 7, and it's actually quite successful. The commissioners made a decision to write a letter recognizing the objection to the one project in the entire state, mostly because the MPO objected to it as well. And then I had a lengthy conversation with the new secretary for FDOT for the entire state, Secretary Boxell, and he's actually going to draft some language that when the permitting is completed, that the funding will be available and that this project would actually move back into 2017 instead of 2020. So that was really successful, that portion of the trip to Tallahassee.
You done? Gary?
I enjoyed the trip to Tallahassee. I met a lot of senators and representatives, and they're very interesting. About Moss, I would like for us as a board to try and make we issued a letter to Abruzzo in terms of supporting Moss, and I'd like the board to try and issue a letter to Water Management and Wildlife. What would you recommend in that, just to show them that we are on board?
Well, this also answers as to President Jacobs' question as to how the meeting with Mr. Bergeron went. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get in with Mr. Bergeron before the meeting that South Florida had with Fish and Wildlife. However, the meeting with Fish and Wildlife on the 27th went very well, according to South Florida Water Management District. And in fact, at this point, I think Jay has been tasked with coming up with a pilot project that he will put in writing and then submit to South Florida, who will then pass it on to Fish and Wildlife. And what I would suggest is that what we do is get a letter together, maybe, and include that draft pilot project, get a letter together and send it off to Ronnie Bergeron, and basically tell him the attributes of doing this, why this is a win-win not only for Indian Trail, but also for the state and Fish and Wildlife. And I think that will go a far way.
Did you motion?
Do we want to put this on the meeting, or can we motion it now?
If you're just going to do a letter,
It's just a letter.
Okay.
Let's
Do
do
you
it.
want a motion and all?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I make a motion for the letter to be sent out to, in what Ruth says, in conjunction with that report that Jay is making.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
For clarification, excuse me, through the chair,
Mm-hmm.
that would be addressed to who actually, though? Staff Water Management, is that what you said?
Well, what we would do is,
I know it can be
we can send it to South Florida Water Management District, and then make sure we get Ronnie in there on the
That's
copy.
fine.
And we can send it also to the county, to Commissioner Finley. Yes.
Because while I was in Tallahassee, I brought it up with Rooney, and he's very, Representative Patrick Rooney is very supportive of the project. He used to work with the
Well,
Water
you
mentioned
Management.
Senator Abruzzo, so you might as well add
Yes,
Representative
Abruzzo and Rooney.
And Mark Payford, he's very supportive too.
And he has surrounding districts that are supportive.
He has a portion of the acreage. Okay. All in favor of that?
Aye.
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 5-0. Okay, agenda approval, any additions, deletions?
Nope.
Okay. Presentations, no, none tonight?
Motion to
Okay.
approve the agenda?
Pardon me?
The agenda?
The agenda additions,
It says
deletions?
agenda approval, okay.
Yeah.
Are we approving?
Any, everybody in approval of the agenda?
I'll motion to approve the revised agenda as presented.
Oh, that's
Okay,
right, there's a
I'll
reason.
second.
I was wondering why you were
It's all
saying
right.
that. Okay, all in favor?
Second?
Yes,
Yes, I did.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, public input.
Are you sick?
Not feeling
We're all...
Patricia Curry, 12390 59th Street North. We had our final hearing last week on the administrative challenge, and we will know in approximately a month what the result is of that administrative hearing. I have a couple of complaints and one applause concerning my request of Indian Trail. One, I want to say that Frank Palin, in reviewing all of the records, I really appreciate his efforts. I mean, some of the email was really good, and it showed that he cared about our community, and I wanted to point that out. That being said, right after your board made a decision not to proceed with litigation or not to intervene in our case, I put in a public records request. And my public records request was to receive all documentation from Indian Trail related to the work done on Minto West. I asked for it in digital form. I indicated I'd bring my computer here and just copy the information directly to my computer. It took 9 weeks to get that information. 9 weeks. It was all in paper, 3,700 pieces of paper that I was charged $547 for. All of the information was actually digital. It came from email. It came from reports. I don't know why I got it in paper when I requested it in digital. I don't know why it took 9 weeks. So that's my first question and my first complaint. Secondly, we attempted to retain directly 2 of the experts that Indian Trail hired that you no longer needed because you're not doing litigation. And Indian Trail, somehow or another, through its counsel and through Marty Perry, refused to allow us to directly hire the experts who were already familiar with Minto West, would not allow them to coordinate with us, and I want to know who gave that direction and how that came to happen. So those are my questions, and I hope somebody addresses it. I have a couple of things more to discuss. I want to know why Indian Trail is not making an adverse possession claim on 60th Street. It's been maintained by Indian Trail for the entire time I've lived in this community since 1980. 1980. I want to know why there's no speed calming on the portion from Royal Palm Beach Boulevard to where it's connected now to the Reliever Road. Every other road has speed calming. We need speed calming. I appreciate the fact that Indian Trail has hired somebody to lobby for us on the new Ag Enclave, because that thing is a nightmare. And I hope he's effective. Thank you.
Patricia?
Yeah.
Where are you talking about on 60th for street calming?
The section where it just got paved and opened up.
On the east side or the west side?
On the east side, because now there won't be any on the west side either. Commissioner McKinley's office claims that no speed calming can be used on thoroughfare roads, yet Persimmon is a thoroughfare road, Orange Grove is considered a thoroughfare road in that stretch, and there's speed calming on Lyons Road, which is a thoroughfare road. So I would like Indian Trail to push for speed calming. Our residents should not have to suffer that way.
Patricia,
Yeah, the chair.
you're the chair. I just want to stop her before she... Jim, why did it take so long
I'll
for...
respond to that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, well,
I asked
Jim will get back with you on all that questions you had.
No,
Through the chair?
I would like the board to know, and 9 weeks is not considered...
Well, I wrote it all down, and I think all the board members just took notes, but someone from our staff will get back with you on that one, on those questions.
I say tell them. Tell them how labor extensive it was for 9 weeks. I think $547
It's
is
very
too cheap.
labor intensive, and it was gathering electronic data from all different sources. We had our mold remediation during, I believe, 5 of those weeks. It was over the holidays. Part of the reason, I'll respond completely to you tomorrow.
Yeah, but if you want to do it in writing, and if
Yeah,
she
I'll do
has
it
it in writing, okay.
Why couldn't she have them do
I'm sorry, I still don't think 9 weeks
Because
is
we still had
reasonable
to
for a
gather
records
everything
response.
together. It came to us from many different sources digitally.
Still, even if it was digital, if it was available digitally, and you can charge it for time for staff, but save trees. That's what the point.
I think there was a good reason for it. I don't think we purposely did that.
Through the chair.
Okay.
I specifically asked this question, so I know the answer. That is time-consuming and labor-intensive, and you just said that when you're not in this building for 3 or 5 of the weeks during that time, you don't have access to everything, and you don't just stick one word in there and push a button and it spits out. You have to actually do the research. Most of her public records requests cost this district thousands of dollars and extensive labor time from our staff. I guarantee you the public records request in 1 year probably costs one staff person's salary per year. So I asked the question, and I got a very detailed answer, and it wasn't labor intensive. And so they responded accurately and correctly by the public record law.
All right, next.
Alexandria Larson?
I'm just going to comment on that there, because you did a $500,000 study, and then you refused, someone in this district refused to let the constituents who did want to fight Minto to use the people as expert witnesses. That's wrong. I'm with Patty on that one, and if that's what happened, because it was set up that you were going to fight Minto, that was the way it was set up, that's the way it was written, that's the way it was talked about on the board, and I think it was wrong that way, because the $500,000, I think it was wrong to spend it in such a manner and then say you were going to fight Minto and then say, no, I'm not going to fight Minto. Because in the scheme of things, in the way the world looks, in the way people, public perception, I talk about this at the county all the time, not here necessarily, but in public perception, and the people where I live think that it was used to help with campaigns. God bless you. Leave it alone at that. But it should have been, they should have been able to use the expert witnesses, and I'm going to get off that subject for you.
You
Yesterday,
should, real quick.
No, you stop yourself.
Point of order.
No.
Point of order. Point of order, I'm calling a point of order. No, I am calling a point of order. I'll be damned will she stand up there and say that board members up here took that funding for campaign accounts. I'll be damned will I sit there and allow it. I just heard what you said. You roll into windows all the time. That's what you like to do. That's why you pick your residents. That's why you like to allude to things, so your residents will think you're damned will I let you stand up there and get away with that.
Carol, I want you to stop her from doing this every time.
No, she can't stop me.
Yes, she should. All right, can I finish? You had a problem yesterday at the county, and I think you should know about it. It was 5C1 on the agenda. They are planning to build a road parallel to Seminole Pratt, and they're going to go down 100th Ave and go up between Mecca and Vavras. That particular road is Grapeview, and y'all fought for the, not to have a crossing over to the water treatment plant a long time ago. It was a while back. And here they are with their crayon drawing, and I asked George, how are you going to get a road in there? Well, we'll fill in the canal. So these are some problems. You got some serious problems. I am reading that agenda late at night, the night before the meeting. I don't have time, because tomorrow morning I'll be at the Water Management District. So unless you want to hire me to call you at 2 o'clock in the morning and tell you 5C1 is going to screw the acreage residents, I don't know how to get this information to you. But it was postponed until June. We got it postponed. But it's something that this board needs to look at, because these are roads that are leading into the acreage. I cry when I think about everybody saying make the State Road 7 go through to North Lake, because there's no other exit, east and west, going into the acreage. It is Persimmon, Orange, and 60th. That's it. So there's a 3-mile run where there's no relief for anybody else, and we're still torturing the people on Persimmon and Orange Grove. And I think that's sad. And I'd like somebody, I heard y'all talking about Ron Bergeron. Well, let me tell you, my dealings with Ron Bergeron in Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County have been very unusual. Okay, so I'd like to know what it is that Ron Bergeron has to do with the Moss property. I heard you talking about it, hopefully you'll explain it, because, I mean, I watched him at the incinerator. He's, you know, they're shutting down an incinerator in Broward so we can bring trash to Palm Beach County, you know, and it's his company. You know, so I'm tepid about the Bergerons, and I have been since I was 17 years old in rock mining in Broward County. So hopefully somebody will explain the Moss property and Ron Bergeron.
Through the
Thank
chair.
you. Go
Through
ahead.
the chair.
Go ahead.
Ms. Curry and Ms. Larson has brought up this point. Did Indian Trail give any direction that our outside experts could not help them in any way?
Mr. Perry was the one that was engaged to represent the district on this matter. He did indicate to me that he was involved in the formation of a group of consultants team to represent the district, that there was a direction from this board not to proceed, that there was direction still to continue for ongoing negotiations, and he felt that there was a potential conflict there, and that the direction was that the experts could certainly be able to be testified, and that they be subpoenaed, and that they would have the benefit of their testimony, and, you know, with the information that was prepared. There was a request by Minto to have those same consultants, and that same direction was given to Minto West.
Okay.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you. Second question. Ms. Larson brought up about this 5C1. Are you aware of it? And can you look into it and advise the board of what is going on?
If you'll allow me to address it, it's my understanding, I have to look into the Grapeview point, but the issue is in general the repurchase of the south and east portions of Mecca, so the Seminole Pratt Whitney Road could follow that route. The canal is on the Mecca property, so filling it in is if it would happen, it would be filling it in. The delay was to ask South Florida Water Management District if they would allow a delay in the county to make the decision to repurchase the Mecca property. Again, I don't know the answer to the Grapeview part, but that would be the continuation of Seminole Pratt Whitney Road up to Mecca, east to the east side of Mecca, north to the C-18 canal to Beeline.
I did hear about this.
Yes, and I mentioned it last time that option was coming up to the county. If they don't buy it back, you're going to have the extension of Seminole Pratt going down North Lake, and either or both of 140th and Coconut going through to Beeline, if there's to be a second connection to Beeline. Otherwise, everything goes to North Lake.
Through the chair.
I'm not sure.
Jay, can I just wanted to add, there's a road, the reason for my concern for all of us as taxpayers, the reason I brought it up to you, there is a road all the way from Seminole Pratt to the water treatment plant that we paid for. It's a paved road, it's got curbs, it's got everything, and they're saying that they would have to tear up that road and build another road, which is, you know, a couple hundred feet from the road where they're saying, well, we'll go over here to Grapeview and go up to between Favris and Mecca. The crayon drawing is on the second page of the backup on the agenda item yesterday, and I'm looking and I'm like, well, we already built that road. We have a road, county taxpayers do, that goes from Seminole Pratt all the way in front of the water treatment plant and down to the big silo there that's on Grapeview. So that's the problem. We're doing it twice, we do it right, we do it twice, but the thing that got me is like, how are you going to get a road in there? And that was where the fill in the canal, and any canal that gets filled in the acreage near us, around us, surrounding us, I'm worried about us. So hopefully, just look, they did postpone it till June, so y'all got a chance to look at it, you know, but it's something that we really need to look into, because the end game of the South Florida Water Management District is to divert water to the Loxahatchee, and they don't care where it comes from. And that, I hope you believe that. I was up here begging you when they were going to do that stupid berm. There was just an article in the Palm Beach Post about how Lake Okeechobee now has saltwater intrusion because they built the wall too deep and cut off the natural seepage.
Freshwater flood.
Just like I talked about with the berm at Corbett. So, believe me, I go to the water management district, and I call them idiots all the time. 6 years ago, I told them not to do Lake Okeechobee. So, here you go.
All right, thank you for your
Okay.
input, Alex. Are you done?
No. I wanna, this is directed to staff. Who do we have as a watchdog? Because I've also heard that, there's another thing coming up at the legislature, SB 7003, that will affect the acreage. Who do we have as a watchdog to watch the county and watch legislation that's coming from Tallahassee? Because when we got to Tallahassee, we just found about this bill and we just happened to be there, and we were able to act on it. But who do we have monitoring this to advise the board of decisions that will affect us? And if we don't, we need to get someone in place.
I don't think we have anybody that follows all those agencies. I mean, we have constant contact with staff over there, and we get...
The county is our watchdog.
We don't have a person assigned to follow every agency.
But we should have someone that follows things that is going to imminently affect us. We should have some knowledge of it instead of us doing catch-up at the last minute when we find out a day before the meeting or something. We should have some type of monetary thing in place.
We did know about this connection. In fact, I had...
And I forwarded the George Webb's update yesterday, I believe.
How about 7003?
About the extension.
How about 7003?
No, about the thing we were talking about.
See, that's what I'm talking about. We need to have something, and we have to not be caught with our pants down and doing a catch-up game and throwing, because if we have advance notice, we can take steps to try and counteract what they're doing and try and understand what they're doing.
How about if we add this to our April workshop?
Okay.
I want to...
Okay, and then Michelle wants to respond. Is that
Okay,
fine with you?
that
Is that
sounds
fine
good
with
with
everybody?
me.
Add that.
We did not find out about SB 1244 and House Bill 1175 when we were in Tallahassee. I actually made a couple phone calls the week prior to going to Tallahassee. I brought it to Mary's attention. She was putting it together. Yes, you have to find somebody as quickly as they did. She used the same lobbyist that this board was in contract with last year, because that same lobbying firm is the same one who watched the bill last year. So I personally didn't get caught with my pants down. That's how I pay attention. I made some phone calls with some friends and relationships that I have to see if GL Homes has submitted another bill in this year. Typically, what a board would do in advance is you would retain a lobbyist, but over the last couple of years, this board seems to think lobbyist is a dirty word. Lobbyists are actually extremely important, and they can be the watchdog of what legislation is submitted to Tallahassee. And that's what the board should do and act upon if that is your concern.
Number one, I found out, and this is a board, it's not a person. I found out the day I was in Tallahassee. And that shouldn't, maybe you were informed, but we act as a board.
Except for I found it.
Oh.
So I brought it to the board. I brought it to the attorney to bring to the
The point
board.
that I'm trying to make to you is that we as a board should have our staff on better lookout, not just for Tallahassee, not just for the county, but we also have to keep our eye on the water management. We have to keep our eye on fish and wildlife. So it's not just a lobbyist will help us. We need to take care of ourselves and be more vigilant of topics that's coming up that will affect our community.
Be ahead of the game. All right, thank you, Gary. That's a very good idea. All right, next card.
Hi, Lauren Hall, 15744 Temple Boulevard, and I am representing the ALA when I say that this is March, and I remember back to last July when we had the most wonderful impromptu 4th of July celebration, and looking forward to that. Yesterday, the ALA filed for a permit for a community park. and we are hoping to bring in the whole community, make a sense of community here, and so people won't have to go to Royal Palm or Wellington or any of the other places. It'll be right here for the residents to enjoy. And we don't want it to be the ALA, 4th of July celebration. We are asking for all community members, all organizations to join us in coming up with something. It was wonderful last year. It was put together at Hamlin House, and we were really squeezed. It was a rainy day, and we didn't have much time to put it together, but we had parking up the wazoo. I don't think we have the restroom facilities there to accommodate what I hope will become a really large event, and so that's why we went with Community Park. We have lights there, we have much better parking, we have the restroom facilities, and we pulled a permit for Hamlin House for 1 week from Monday. That's 1 week from the ALA meeting that I hope everybody will come to. And the reason that we did that is to have a wonderful place, and thank you, by the way, for coming up with a community center for us so that we do have a place to meet, and that's what we would like. A week from Monday is March 23rd from 7 to 9 p.m. at Hamlin House. We're asking for all the organizations, AAL, AHA, Helping Hearts, Garden of Hope, anybody you can think of. But in addition, we want just regular people. Christine, the founding mother of the July 4th celebration, and everybody in that committee who put it together. We're hoping that everybody will just come to the Hamlin House with their ideas, and we're making it far enough in advance that they can more than just come up with an idea, but also have the time to research it and actually come up with a plan. Do you want fireworks? That could be done, I guess, on the south parking lot, but I don't know about permits or anything, but anybody who might be interested in that could research it out and then come to the meeting and tell us yes or no. Are you looking for food trucks? Do you want to do it yourself? We're not trying to lead it, we're trying to facilitate it. So,
okay, I have a question. So basically, the Acreage Landowner Association rented the Hamlin House already for the 23rd to discuss with all the different groups to have a 4th of July party, and then is the park available 4th of July, the community park?
I believe it is, yes, ma'am.
And what about staff?
Yeah, but shouldn't the parking lot on the south expansion side be under construction?
Yeah, we can't, we could probably use the parking, I would think, right? Can we use parking over there?
I would think parking, yes.
Just not the park.
Through the chair, no.
Yes.
That has to be, remember, that's the drainage issue that's over there, it's underneath that parking lot. So if we're proceeding forward with the expansion of Community Park,
oh, yeah, by the time July 4th.
you probably need to check with Gene Schreiner and find out the timing of that. That could be under complete construction.
It very well.
Yeah, because we're going out to bid.
Everybody needs to understand, our park policy strictly states no fireworks in our parks. And to have fireworks in parks, there's a lot that goes into that. You have to have a permit through Palm Beach County Fire Rescue. It's not just get fireworks and shoot them off in the park.
How long does it take to, if you would know right now to go to Palm Beach County, how long do you think it would take to require that? And
I think Palm Beach County to have fireworks on public property, government property, I think Palm Beach County would probably require a professional to host them.
Can you check into that?
Yes, timelines and all that.
Because it's coming up real quick. Well, someone might pay for that, so, not saying that the district's gonna pay for it, someone will come up with it.
That's why I wanted to do it this far in advance, that if we had to research things, there's plenty of time and we wouldn't have to put it together at the last minute. But it was so exciting last year, it was just so much fun, and I would really hope that it's going to grow this year, now that people have more notice about it, they know about it, and I want everybody to come out and be part of the creation of it. So instead of just having the ALA, we're going to do a fest, but instead of the fest, we're going to call it the 4th of July celebration. We really want to hear input on what the community wants to have for the 4th.
And I thank you for doing that, because I'm thinking, she beat me to it, because I was going to book the house again and do the same thing.
Well, you know what, it was so...
But it's better that we involve everybody, so I think it's great. Thank you very much.
Tim's there.
Good evening. My name's Tim Sayre. I live at 16234 70th Street North. Just want to talk to you about the Hamlin House and the name of the Hamlin House. Been suggested by some people in the community, including myself. Not a major commitment, but just a few of us have talked about it. We feel that the word house implies the wrong connotation in the neighborhood. When I talk to people and talk about Hamlin House, they immediately think it might be a halfway house or a recovery house, something like that. You're trying to sell it as a place to have wedding receptions, to have the movie thing, all that's going great so far. But I think it would help the person doing that if we considered renaming it. So I'm hoping you'll take it under advisement and discuss it at your April thing. I'm suggesting maybe, and these are not, we figure out what we can do, Acreage Community Center, Acreage Activity Center. I realize maybe we could chop it down to Hamlin Community Center rather than Hamlin House Community, but it so far has the name of Hamlin House. And I think that if we get rid of the Hamlin too, that name will drop out, and it might make it easier for the person that's trying to rent it out and get people in there.
And I noticed also when people are looking for it, they go way out to the Hamlin Park.
Correct.
So we might, I'll put that on our April agenda also.
Through the chair?
Yes.
What's interesting is that park's out there called Friedland Park. This park is called Hornstein, but everybody gets confused with the Hamlins because both the parks are on Hamlin Boulevard. Why don't we bring it back to April, but why don't we do a naming contest? And I personally don't want to see it called Community Center because I still have hope one day that we'll actually have a gigantic community center
maybe
that
it's
suits the size of this community. So, but anyway.
Now, how do we do that? What do you have, just people come in and bring in?
Come up with the rules, bring it back in April, and we'll approve it, and then submit it out on the front for the summer.
Okay.
In fact, you can select it for the 4th of July, Independence Day. We'll have the name by then.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. I'm surprised we didn't do that. Okay, next.
Speak in the microphone. They can hear you.
And Cole?
Good evening. I wanted to mention the 5C1 also too, because that was very concerning. I don't believe that they gave a reason for why they wanted to postpone, but it was postponed, and hopefully we'll find out more information about why it was postponed. The other thing I wanted to bring up was the giving away of the easement, the right-of-way for the thoroughfare right-of-way for the State Road 7 between North Lake and Beeline Highway. That has been offered as a mitigation for the extension from 60th to North Lake. And there is evidence, I mean, there is an article out in the Palm Beach Post in November 27, 2010, where actually the city of West Palm Beach actually encroached on state-owned land in the right-of-way, and they worked on the habitat near the roadbed for the endangered Everglades snailkite, and they actually planted pond apples, which is attracts the snails that the snailkite eat. So we're actually giving away the shortest distance between North Lake and the Beeline Highway through the wetlands to get this 7 to continue on, okay? And it's been transmitted by the BCC. I raised the objection at the BCC meeting that why are we giving this away before the road is already through? And George Webb came out and says, that's why we're giving it away, because we want the road to go through. Well, I don't see that logic, and I really wish somebody would look into it, and before it's adopted, and if there are any further delays on the North Lake extension, that somebody should oppose this and say this needs to be put on hold until we get a resolution on the extension of State Road 7 the rest of the way to North Lake. Because I don't understand how the Fish and Wildlife would say we need to mitigate there by taking it away there, but they're all apparently thrilled with it going through Avenir. You know, that's a much longer road to go up through through the wetlands up that way. So I know that it's owned by another company. It's not publicly owned land, but I just think that there's a lot of issues with the fact that City of West Palm Beach was tinkering around with the habitat for the snailkite before then, and here we are mitigating for something that they seeded, you know, to make it more of a mitigation effort to get the road through. So I hope you'll look into that. The other issue that was on the agenda last month's meeting, February's meeting, was that they were going out for the consultant to do the design work for the improvements on Royal Palm Beach Boulevard from 60th to Orange. Okay, now we've got State Road 7 running to 60th to Orange, and I asked the question at the consent agenda, what are they doing? I wanted to know before they voted on it. They didn't answer me, of course. They just blew through it, so after the meeting, I sent a note to George Webb. Let me finish. I'm just going to read you what he said. The design will be continuation of a 5-lane section that exits south of Persimmon. An alternative design for all 3 lanes will also be done, with a center 2-way left turn lane, okay? His current thought, according to his letter, is that if State Road 7 is anticipated to be under construction in a reasonable time frame, we should just do 3 lanes. If not, future commission would have to decide if 5 lanes would be appropriate. So where does that go? That goes to Orange. What is next? 5 lanes on Orange? That goes to Coconut. 5 lanes on Coconut? Where does this end? I wish we could find some teeth to try to protect our roads in our area. This City of West Palm Beach is already saying that they're going to sue, and that's going to further delay the State Road 7 extension. So I'm just very concerned with this and the other part with buying back. All of a sudden, they're going to buy back the easement that they kept reserved on the Mecca property, that we're going to have all this traffic that would normally have just gone straight through on State Road 7 to get to North Lake, and possibly even on to the B line, if that wasn't given away, is going to be filtered back through our communities.
Can we get a copy of that? And do you have the newspaper article with you also?
I have the letter that George Webb wrote me on email, and I also have, this may not be the actual agenda item. It says agenda item 3D1. I found it on the county website because I couldn't find it quickly on the county.
Do I have a motion to
I'll put this in there.
Receive?
And I also have this letter that I'd like to, this article about the...
Okay, that's what I wanted.
I make a motion to receive.
Do I have a second?
No, I think Jennifer made the motion, we'll have Mr. Conley.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye. Through the chair. About State Road 7 and the mitigation of the State Road 7 to North Lake and the objection, can we look into it more and we as a board could understand more?
Look into what? What are you objecting?
I didn't object, I was asking
That's what I'm asking you, though.
I was talking to staff.
I know, but you gotta get the board's consent to direct them to do something?
I didn't, first I
That's
want...
why I'm asking.
I know, but if you would stop interrupting me, I could probably finish. I think it would be interesting to find out exactly where we stood. Is there a way of us finding out where we can stand on what she just talked about, the mitigation of the snail kites and the road going from State Road 7 to the B line?
Yeah, we'll talk about it
Well,
later.
I think
It's been mitigated.
Jim has everything. We'll discuss it and see what we can...
All right, that's all I'm trying to
The snail kites have
understand.
been mitigated. And she's correct about the trees being planted. I've brought that up many times in front of the Board of County Commissioners and in front of the mayor herself and everything else. She's correct. They went in there and planted that to keep the snail kites there so that you couldn't mitigate it, because the snail kites is a protected bird. That was just a ploy. But they just mitigated $700,000 of the taxpayer dollars to increase the construction cost of that road going to North Lake for the snail kites, which is what you're questioning.
Yeah, and that's what I want to know. What can we as a board do to help?
We've already done it.
I'm talking in terms of, I'm talking about from North Lake to B line. Have we done
in my
anything?
opinion, you won't get the support from North Lake to the B line. They've
But
already...
we can put in some
If the
type
board
of
wants to,
letter.
I won't be supporting the objection to that.
No,
But I'm just saying, I personally...
I know, but I'm just saying that before we can go, I would like to understand everything before and see if we could go in a direction.
Jim has that, what she was talking about.